Marcus Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he moved another heavy cargo container across the loading dock. The night shift at Station Kepler 7 was always quiet, but he liked it that way. Less people meant less trouble, and Marcus had seen enough trouble for one lifetime. The space station sat at the edge of human territory, where ships from different alien races came to trade. During the day, the docks buzzed with activity. Humans worked alongside tall, blue-skinned Altarians and the snake-like Visari traders. But at night, when most species rested, Marcus worked alone among the silent cargo bays. He had been a soldier once, a medic in the Earth Defense Corps, but that was before the battle at Proxima Station, before he lost half his unit trying to save civilians. Now he just moved boxes and tried not to think about the past. Marcus was checking his tablet for the next delivery when he heard it, a soft crying sound coming from Cargo Bay 7. He stopped and listened. The station's recycling systems made constant noise, but this was different. This sounded like someone in pain. He grabbed his flashlight and headed toward the sound. Cargo Bay 7 stored medical supplies bound for the outer colonies. The heavy doors were sealed, but Marcus had access codes for his work. He typed in his security number and stepped inside. The bay was dark, except for the red emergency lights. Boxes and containers filled the space from floor to ceiling. Marcus turned on his flashlight and followed the crying sound deeper into the bay. Behind a stack of medical containers, he found her. The child was small, maybe 6 years old in human terms. But she was not human. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to shine with its own light. Thin crystal formations grew from her forehead and arms like beautiful jewels. She was Veltar, one of the most advanced alien races in the galaxy. The little girl was hurt. Dark blue blood seeped from cuts on her arms and legs. Her clothes were torn and she shook with fear. When Marcus's light hit her, she tried to crawl further back into the shadows. "Hey, it's okay," Marcus said softly, turning his light away so it would not blind her. "I'm not going to hurt you." The child said something in the musical language of her people. Marcus did not understand most Veltar words, but he knew she was scared. "Do you speak Standard?" he asked, using the common trade language that most species learned. The girl nodded slowly. "Please," she whispered. "Please do not tell them where I am." Marcus knelt down, keeping his distance so she would not feel trapped. "Tell who? What happened to you?" "Bad men," she said, her voice small and shaky. "They came to our ship. They took my family. I hid, but I got hurt. Pirates." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. The shipping lanes around Kepler 7 had seen more pirate attacks lately. They usually went after cargo, but sometimes they took people too. Alien children were especially valuable to slavers. "What's your name?" Marcus asked gently. "Zephara," she said. "I'm Marcus. I work here on the station. You're safe now, Zephara." The little girl looked at him with large golden eyes. Veltar rarely trusted other species, especially humans. Their people were logical and cold, making decisions based on facts rather than feelings. But this child was hurt and alone, and Marcus could see the fear in her eyes. "I need to look at your cuts," Marcus said. "I know some healing. I was a medic in the army." Zephara hesitated. Her people did not like to be touched by aliens. It was against their customs, but the cuts on her arms were deep, and she was losing too much blood. "It will help the pain go away," Marcus said. "I promise. I'll be gentle." Slowly, Zephara held out her arm. Marcus moved closer, being careful not to make sudden movements. He had basic medical supplies in his work kit for emergencies. The cuts were worse than they looked. Someone had used a rough blade, leaving jagged wounds that would be hard to heal. Marcus cleaned them carefully with antiseptic, talking softly to keep Zephara calm. "The bad men, are they still here?" Zephara asked as Marcus bandaged her arm. "I don't know," Marcus said honestly. "But you don't have to worry about them right now." As he worked, Marcus noticed something strange. Each time he touched her skin, Zephara flinched, but not from pain. It was like she felt something else, something that surprised her. Veltar children had psychic abilities that grew stronger as they aged. Maybe she was sensing his emotions. "Why are you helping me?" she asked suddenly. Marcus paused in his bandaging. "Because you need help. But I am not your species. My people and your people, we are not friends." Marcus thought about that. She was right. Humans and Veltar worked together for trade, but they were not close. The Veltar thought humans were too emotional, too unpredictable. Humans found the Veltar cold and hard to understand. Maybe our people are not friends, Marcus said. But you're just a kid who got hurt. That's all that matters to me. Zephyra stared at him like he had said something impossible. Marcus finished bandaging her wounds and sat back. Are you hungry? I have some food in my office. The little girl nodded. Marcus helped her stand, surprised when she did not pull away from his touch. Together, they walked through the empty corridors to his small office near the loading docks. Marcus gave her water and some protein bars from his lunch. She ate slowly, still watching him with curious eyes. My mother will look for me, she said between bites. She is commander in the Veltar fleet. Good, Marcus said. Until she finds you, you can stay with me. I'll keep you safe. Zephyra tilted her head. You would protect me, even from your own species? If I had to, yes. The child was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached out and touched Marcus's hand with one small, crystal-tipped finger. I do not understand humans, she said softly. Marcus smiled. Sometimes I don't understand us either. Outside his office window, the stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere out there, pirates might still be hunting. But for now, in the small circle of light from his desk lamp, a human and an alien child sat together, building the first fragile bridge between their worlds. Marcus woke up to the sound of alarms screaming through Station Kepler 7. Red warning lights flashed in his small office, and his computer screen showed an emergency message in bright letters. Hostile ships approaching. All personnel to emergency stations. Zephyra sat up on the small couch where she had been sleeping. Her golden eyes were wide with fear. What is that noise? Pirates, Marcus said, grabbing his emergency kit from under his desk. They're back. The little Veltar girl went very still. The bad men? Maybe. Probably. Marcus checked his handheld radio. Station security was shouting orders, but it sounded like chaos. We need to get you somewhere safe. Marcus knew the station better than most people. He had worked here for 3 years, moving cargo through every corridor and storage bay. There were places where a person could hide, places the pirates might not think to look. Come on, he said, taking Zephyra's hand. We're going to Cargo Bay 12. It's deep in the station core, harder to find. They moved quickly through the empty corridors. Most station workers were either at emergency posts or locked in their quarters. The sound of the alarms echoed off the metal walls, mixing with the distant noise of explosions. Marcus felt Zephyra's hand tremble in his. She was trying to be brave, but she was still just a child who had already seen pirates destroy her family's ship. It's going to be okay, he told her, though he was not sure he believed it himself. They reached Cargo Bay 12 just as the station's main power flickered. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in a red glow. Marcus sealed the door behind them and activated his security override. Now the door would only open for his access code. The cargo bay was full of mining equipment bound for the asteroid colonies. Heavy machines and metal containers created a maze of hiding spots. Marcus led Zephyra deep into the bay, behind a row of massive drilling units. Hide here, he said, helping her squeeze into a gap between two machines. Don't come out until I tell you it's safe. Where are you going? She asked, grabbing his arm. To watch the door. If anyone tries to get in, I need to know. Marcus positioned himself behind a container where he could see the entrance. He had his service pistol, a relic from his military days. Not much against a group of armed pirates, but better than nothing. For 20 minutes, they waited. The alarms had stopped, but that did not mean the danger was over. Pirates were smart. They knew how to disable station defenses and avoid security patrols. Then Marcus heard footsteps in the corridor outside. He drew his weapon and made sure Zephyra was hidden. The footsteps stopped at their door. Marcus heard voices, rough and speaking in different languages. Pirates often came from many different worlds, outcasts and criminals working together for profit. Someone was trying to override the door lock. Marcus moved closer to Zephyra's hiding spot. Stay quiet, he whispered, no matter what happens. The door slid open with a mechanical hiss. 4 figures stepped into the cargo bay. They were human but dirty and dangerous looking. They carried military-grade weapons and wore bits of armor taken from different sources. Their leader had scars across his face and the look of a man who enjoyed hurting people. Check every container, the leader ordered his men. Shipping manifests show high-value medical supplies in this sector, and keep an eye out for any live cargo that might have wandered off. Marcus felt his blood go cold. Live cargo. They were not just here for supplies. They were still hunting for people to sell as slaves. The pirates spread out through the bay, using handheld scanners to check containers. They worked methodically, getting closer to Marcus and Zephyra's hiding spot with each passing minute. Marcus watched them through a gap between containers. He had 4 bullets in his pistol, 4 pirates. If he was very lucky and very good, he might be able to take them all down. But if he missed even once, they would find Zephyra. One of the pirates was getting close to the drilling equipment where they hid. Marcus could hear his boots on the metal floor, could see the light from his scanner sweeping back and forth. Then disaster struck. A piece of loose equipment fell from a stack near Zephyra's hiding place. It hit the floor with a loud clang that echoed through the bay. All 4 pirates turned toward the sound. "Over here," the scarred leader called out. "Something's hiding back there." Marcus had seconds to make a choice. He could stay hidden and hope they did not find the little girl, or he could reveal himself and try to lead them away from her. He thought about Zephyra's frightened face, about how she had trusted him to keep her safe, about how her people were logical and cold, but this one small child had reached out to touch a human's hand. Marcus stepped out from behind his container. "Hey!" he shouted, raising his pistol. "You're looking for me!" The pirates spun around, surprised. Marcus fired twice, hitting the nearest pirate in the chest. The man dropped his weapon and fell backward into a pile of mining equipment. The other 3 pirates opened fire. Energy beams sizzled through the air where Marcus had been standing. He dove behind a large drilling unit as the metal around him began to smoke and melt. "Just one human," the leader laughed. "Take him alive. He might know where the good stuff is hidden." Marcus crawled through the maze of equipment, using the heavy machines for cover. He could hear the pirates moving to surround him. His military training kicked in, and he began to plan his next move. But he was not thinking about tactics or survival. He was thinking about a small blue child hiding between 2 machines, counting on him to protect her. One pirate came around the left side of a container. Marcus was waiting for him. He fired his 3rd shot, and the pirate went down. 2 left. "Smart guy," the leader called out, "but you're just making this harder on yourself. We know someone else is in here. Hand them over, and maybe we'll let you live." Marcus said nothing. He moved again, working his way toward the back of the bay. If he could get the pirates to follow him, maybe Zephyra could stay hidden until station security arrived. If station security was even still alive. An energy beam burned through the container next to his head, filling the air with hot metal and smoke. Marcus ran for the next piece of cover, but his leg caught on a piece of equipment. He fell hard, his pistol sliding across the floor. The second pirate stepped into view, grinning and pointing his weapon at Marcus. "Got you now." Marcus rolled toward his gun, but he knew he would not reach it in time. The pirate's finger tightened on his trigger. Then a small voice called out from the shadows. "Please don't hurt him." Zephyra stepped out from her hiding place, her hands raised in surrender. The crystal formations on her skin glowed faintly in the red emergency lighting. "Well, well," the scarred leader said, walking over to look at her. "A Veltar child. Do you know how much you're worth, little one?" "Take me," Zephyra said, her voice steady despite her fear. "But leave the human alone." Marcus stared at her in shock. Veltar children were taught that the group was more important than any individual. She should have stayed hidden, should have let him die to save herself. That was the logical thing to do. Instead, she was trying to trade her life for his. The leader smiled, showing broken teeth. "Oh, we'll take you, don't worry about that. But the human? He killed 2 of my men. He's going to pay for that." Marcus grabbed his pistol and fired his last shot. The bullet took the second pirate in the shoulder, spinning him around. Marcus lunged forward, tackling the injured man and grabbing his weapon. The leader turned his gun on Marcus, but he was too slow. Marcus fired the stolen weapon, and the pirate leader fell. In the sudden silence, Marcus and Zephyra looked at each other across the smoky cargo bay. "You came out," Marcus said. "I told you to stay hidden." "You were going to die," she said simply. "Better me than you." Zephyra shook her head. "I do not understand human logic." Marcus helped her step over the fallen pirates. "Sometimes," he said, "logic isn't the most important thing." But even as he said it, Marcus knew their troubles were not over. These 4 pirates were just a raiding party. There would be more on the station, and they would not give up until they found what they were looking for. He looked down at Zephyra, this brave little alien who had risked everything to try to save him. "We need to find a better place to hide," he said. She took his hand without hesitation. "I trust you." Together, they walked back into the red-lit corridors of Station Kepler 7, where danger waited around every corner. Marcus and Zephyra moved through the damaged corridors of Station Kepler 7. Emergency lights flickered overhead, and the smell of burned metal filled the air. Bodies of station security guards lay scattered in some hallways, their weapons taken by the pirates. "How many more bad men are there?" Zephyra asked, staying close to Marcus as they walked. "Too many," Marcus said honestly. He had counted at least a dozen different voices on the security channels before the communications went dead. The pirates had taken control of most of the station. They needed a place to hide until help arrived, but Marcus was beginning to wonder if help was coming at all. Station Kepler 7 was far from any military base. By the time rescue ships arrived, the pirates would be long gone. Marcus led Zephyra toward the main cargo processing center. It was a huge area filled with shipping containers waiting to be loaded onto different ships. If they could find the right container, they might be able to hide until the pirates left. But as they reached the entrance to the processing center, Marcus heard voices inside. More pirates searching through the containers for valuable cargo. "This way," Marcus whispered, pulling Zephyra toward a smaller storage area. But as they turned the corner, they came face to face with 3 more pirates. "There!" one of them shouted. "The human who killed Vex and his team." Marcus pushed Zephyra behind him and raised the stolen pirate weapon. He fired, but the power cell was nearly empty. The energy beam was weak, only burning one pirate's arm instead of stopping him. All 3 pirates opened fire at once. Marcus grabbed Zephyra and dove behind a maintenance panel as energy beams burned through the air around them. "We can't stay here," Marcus said. The maintenance panel was not big enough to protect them for long. He looked around desperately. To their left was a corridor that led deeper into the station. To their right was the entrance to Cargo Processing Area 5, where more pirates were searching. Straight ahead was nothing but open space and certain death. The cargo area, Marcus decided, will have more places to hide in there. He picked up Zephyra and ran toward the entrance, keeping low as energy beams sizzled over their heads. The pirates behind them gave chase, shouting for backup. The cargo processing area was massive, the size of several football fields. Hundreds of shipping containers were stacked in neat rows, creating a metal maze. Overhead, cranes hung motionless from the ceiling, their power cut by the pirates. Marcus ran between the container stacks, carrying Zephyra toward the far end of the area. Behind them, he could hear more pirates entering the area. Their voices echoed off the metal walls as they called out to each other. "Spread out! Check every container! The Veltar brat is worth more than everything else on this station combined." Marcus found a gap between 2 large containers and set Zephyra down. His weapon's power cell was dead now, but he had picked up a knife from one of the fallen security guards. Not much against energy weapons, but it was something. "Stay behind me," he told Zephyra. "No matter what happens, stay behind me." The little girl nodded, but Marcus could see tears in her golden eyes. She was trying to be brave, but she was just a child. A child who should have been safe on her family's ship, not hiding in a cargo bay with a human stranger. Footsteps echoed through the container maze. The pirates were getting closer, checking each hiding spot methodically. Marcus counted at least 6 different voices, maybe more. "I know you can hear me, human," one of the pirates called out. His voice was different from the others, more educated, probably the leader of this group. "My name is Captain Corex. I make you a deal. Give us the child, and I let you live. You have my word." Marcus said nothing. He had met pirates like this before, during his military service. Their word meant nothing. "The child is valuable to us, yes," Captain Corex continued, his voice getting closer. "But she is not your species. Why do you risk your life for her? It makes no sense." Zephyra looked up at Marcus. "He is right," she whispered. "You should save yourself. My people would not blame you." Marcus looked down at her, this small blue child with crystal formations growing from her skin. She was so different from humans, from anything he had ever known. But when she looked at him with those golden eyes, He saw the same fear and hope that any human child might show. "Your people might not blame me," Marcus said quietly, "but I would blame myself." A pirate appeared at the end of their row of containers. He saw Marcus and raised his weapon, but Marcus was faster. He threw his knife with the accuracy of years of military training. The blade hit the pirate in the chest, and the man fell without making a sound. But the others heard the body hit the ground. "Container row 7, someone shouted. "He's in row 7. Marcus grabbed the fallen pirate's weapon and motioned for Zephyra to follow him. They ran toward the back wall of the cargo area, but pirates were coming from all directions now. Energy beams burned through the air around them, leaving glowing holes in the metal containers. Marcus reached the back wall and looked around desperately. No way out, no more places to run. He turned to face the pirates with Zephyra. Behind him, 5 armed men stepped out from behind the containers, their weapons pointed at him. Captain Corax was a tall man with cybernetic implants covering half his face. His smile was cold and cruel. "End of the line, human," Corax said. "You fought well, but this is over. Step away from the child." "No," Marcus said simply. "You would die for her? For an alien child who is not even your species?" "If I have to." Corax shook his head. "Humans. So illogical. So emotional. This is why the galaxy will be better when stronger species rule it." The captain raised his weapon, but before he could fire, Zephyra stepped out from behind Marcus. "Wait," she said, her small voice carrying clearly across the space between them. "If you want me, take me. But the human is right. I'm not his species, and he has no reason to protect me. Let him go." "Zephyra, no," Marcus said, trying to pull her back behind him. But the little girl stood her ground. "My mother will pay ransom for me. Much ransom, but only if you do not hurt innocent people." Captain Corax considered this. "Your mother is Veltar military, yes? She will pay well." He looked at Marcus. "But this human killed many of my men. He must pay for that." "Then I will not come with you," Zephyra said firmly. "I will fight, and you will have to kill me. Then my mother will pay you nothing." Marcus stared at her in amazement. She was negotiating like an adult, using logic and leverage that even the pirates could understand. But she was doing it to save him. The pirates looked at each other uncertainly. A dead Veltar child was worth nothing to them. "The human comes with us then," Corax decided, "as a slave. Your mother can buy him back if she wishes." "No deal," Marcus said, raising his weapon. The firefight was brief and violent. Marcus managed to take down 2 more pirates before an energy beam burned through his shoulder, spinning him around. Another beam caught him in the leg, and he fell behind a container. Blood ran down his arm and leg. The world was starting to go gray around the edges. Marcus knew he was dying, but he kept his weapon pointed toward where Zephyra was hiding. "Marcus!" the little girl cried out, running to his side. "Stay back," he whispered. They'll take you." But Zephyra knelt next to him, placing her small hands on his wounded shoulder. "I will not let you die," she said. Marcus felt something strange happen. Warmth spread from where Zephyra's hands touched him. The pain began to fade and the bleeding slowed. But more than that, he could feel something else. Emotions that were not his own. Fear, but also determination. Sadness, but also love. "What are you doing?" he asked weakly. "Healing," Zephyra said, but her voice sounded strained. "My people can heal others, but it creates a bond, a connection. We only do this for family." Marcus understood. By healing him, Zephyra was creating a permanent empathic link between them. She would always be able to feel his emotions, and he would feel hers. For the Veltar, this was the same as adoption. She was making him family. "You don't have to," Marcus said. "Yes, I do," Zephyra said firmly. "You protected me. Now I protect you." The healing continued, but it was taking too much out of the little girl. She was growing pale, her crystal formations dimming. Marcus could feel her strength flowing into him. "Stop," he said. "You're hurting yourself." "Almost done," she whispered. Captain Corax and his remaining men approached carefully. They had seen what the Veltar child was doing, and they knew what it meant. "Interesting," Corax said. "The child has bonded with you, human. That makes things complicated." Marcus tried to sit up, surprised to find that he could. The wounds were still there, but they were no longer bleeding. He would live. Complicated how? Marcus asked. Veltar children who form empathic bonds become very difficult to handle, Corex said. If you die, she will feel your death. If she is harmed, you will feel her pain. It makes both of you less valuable as slaves. The pirate captain raised his weapon again. Perhaps it would be better to just kill you both. But before he could fire, new sounds echoed through the cargo area. The deep hum of powerful ship engines, the crash of docking clamps engaging. Captain, one of the remaining pirates called out, listening to his communicator. Veltar warships, 3 of them, coming in fast. Corex cursed in several different languages. How did they find us so quickly? Marcus looked down at Zephyra, who was smiling weakly despite her exhaustion. I sent a message, she said softly, when I healed you, through the bond. My mother will have felt it. You called for help through the empathic link? I called for Mother, Zephyra said, and Mother always comes. The sound of military boots on metal floors grew louder. Captain Corex and his men were already retreating toward their own ship. This is not over, human, Corex called back as they ran. The galaxy is a big place. We will meet again. But Marcus was not listening. He was looking at Zephyra, this brave little alien who had risked everything to save him. Through their new bond, he could feel her emotions clearly now. Fear was fading, replaced by relief and joy. And something else, something that felt very much like family. Your mother is coming, Marcus said. Our mother, Zephyra corrected gently. The bond makes you family now, too. Marcus did not know what that would mean for his future, but as he sat in the cargo area, holding a small alien child who had just saved his life, he thought it might not be so bad. Heavy footsteps approached their hiding spot. Voices called out in the musical language of the Veltar. Help had arrived, but Marcus found himself wondering if this was really the end of their adventure, or just the beginning. Commander Silandra of the Veltar Third Fleet moved through Station Kepler 7 with the cold efficiency that had made her famous across the galaxy. Her tall, crystalline form reflected the emergency lighting as she led her security team through the damaged corridors. Pirates' bodies lay scattered throughout the station, evidence of the battle that had taken place. Silandra had felt it the moment her daughter formed the empathic bond. Across light years of space, the connection had hit her like a physical blow. Terror, pain, love, protection, emotions so strong they had made her stumble on the bridge of her flagship. Zephyra was alive. That was all that mattered. But the bond carried more than just her daughter's emotions. There was someone else connected now, someone whose feelings were mixing with Zephyra's. A human, based on the thought patterns she was sensing. The idea filled Silandra with cold rage. Her people did not form bonds lightly. For a Veltar child to create an empathic connection with an alien was almost unheard of. If this human had forced the bond somehow, had manipulated her daughter's psychic abilities for his own purposes, Silandra's crystalline hand tightened on her weapon. She had executed pirates for less. Commander, her lieutenant reported, we have located the source of the bond. Cargo Processing Area 5. They moved swiftly through the station's corridors. Silandra's team had already secured most of the facility and driven off the remaining pirates. Station Kepler 7 would survive, but barely. As they approached the cargo area, Silandra could feel her daughter's emotions more clearly. Relief, exhaustion, and something else. Contentment. Peace. How could Zephyra feel peaceful after what she had been through? The cargo area was a maze of containers and equipment. Silandra followed the empathic trail deeper into the maze, her security team close behind. Bodies of pirates lay scattered throughout the area, evidence of a running battle. Here, Silandra said, stopping near a stack of containers at the back wall. They are behind here. She stepped around the containers and found them. Her daughter sat on the floor next to a human male. The human was injured but alive, blood staining his shirt and pants. Zephyra had her small hands pressed against one of his wounds, the crystal formations on her skin glowing softly as she used her healing abilities. But what shocked Silandra was not the healing itself. It was how they looked together. The human's body was positioned between Zephyra and the direction the pirates had come from. Even wounded and barely conscious, he had placed himself to shield her from danger. And Zephyra. Zephyra looked at the human with complete trust, the way she had once looked at her father. Zephyra, Silandra said softly. Her daughter looked up, and Silandra felt a wave of joy through their connection, but mixed with that joy were the emotions of the human as well: relief, gratitude, and something deeper: protectiveness, love. This human loved her daughter, not the possessive love of someone who saw value in a rare alien child, but the fierce, unconditional love of a parent protecting their young. Mother, Zephyra stood and ran to Silandra, wrapping her arms around her mother's legs. I knew you would come. Silandra knelt and held her daughter close, feeling the tremor in the small body. Zephyra had been through so much, had seen things no child should ever see. But she was alive, and she was safe. Are you hurt? Silandra asked, running her hands over her daughter's arms and legs. The cuts were there, but they were healing cleanly. The human helped me, Zephyra said, looking back at Marcus. His name is Marcus. He protected me from the bad men. Silandra studied the human more carefully. He was unremarkable by most standards. Average height, brown hair, brown eyes. But there was something in his face, a quiet strength that reminded her of career soldiers. You formed the bond with him, Silandra said. It was not a question. Zephyra nodded. He was dying. I had to heal him. You know what that means. The connection between you is permanent now. Yes, Zephyra said simply. He is family now. Silandra felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's damaged life support. Empathic bonds were sacred to her people. They were only formed between close family members, and only in the most dire circumstances. For Zephyra to create such a bond with an alien. He forced you to do this? Silandra asked, her voice dangerous. No, Zephyra said quickly. He tried to stop me. He said I did not have to save him. Silandra looked at the human again. Marcus was conscious now, watching their conversation with alert eyes. He made no attempt to stand or approach them. He simply watched, as if waiting to see what she would decide. He could have run away, Zephyra continued. Many times he could have left me and been safe. But he stayed. He fought the bad men to protect me. Through the bond, Silandra could feel echoes of what had happened, fragments of memory and emotion from both her daughter and the human. The terror when the pirates found them. The desperate running battle through the station. The moment when Zephyra had stepped out to surrender herself to save Marcus's life. And Marcus's reaction to that moment. Not gratitude or calculation, but horror. Horror that a child would risk herself for him. Show me, Silandra said quietly. Zephyra tilted her head, confused. Show me what happened. Share the memories through the bond. Zephyra looked uncertain. The human will feel it too. The bond connects all three of us now. I understand. Zephyra placed one hand on her mother's arm and reached out to touch Marcus with the other. The human flinched slightly but did not pull away. The memories flooded through the empathic link. Silandra experienced the battle from both perspectives. She felt Marcus's cold fear as the pirates closed in, but also his absolute determination to protect Zephyra. She felt his military training take over, calculating odds and planning tactics. But underneath all of that was something her logical mind struggled to understand. Marcus had never considered abandoning Zephyra, not once, even when staying meant certain death, even when leaving her would have been the logical choice for his own survival. The thought had simply never occurred to him. From Zephyra's perspective, Silandra felt her daughter's amazement at this human who kept putting himself in danger for her. Zephyra had been raised to believe that logic should guide all decisions, that the survival of the group was more important than any individual, but Marcus operated by completely different rules. When the memory reached the moment where Zephyra had tried to surrender herself to save Marcus, Silandra felt the human's emotional response like a physical blow. Rage. Not at Zephyra, but at the idea that a child would sacrifice herself for an adult. At himself, for putting her in that position. And when Zephyra had healed him, creating the permanent bond between them, Marcus had not felt triumph or possessiveness. He had felt humbled, honored, as if this small alien child had given him a gift beyond price. The memories faded, leaving Silandra shaken. She looked at Marcus with new eyes. You could have escaped many times, she said. My daughter is correct about this. Marcus nodded slowly. Yes. Yet you stayed. Why? Marcus was quiet for a long moment, as if trying to find words for something that seemed obvious to him. She's just a kid, he said finally. She was scared and hurt, and those bastards wanted to sell her as a slave. How could I leave her? My people would say the logical choice was to save yourself. One life is less important than 2 lives. Maybe, Marcus said. But she's not just one life to me. She's... He looked at Zephyra, who was listening to every word. She's important, not because she's valuable to someone else, but because she's herself. Salandra felt something shift in her understanding of humans. She had always thought them chaotic and emotional, driven by feelings rather than logic. But what if those emotions were not weakness? What if they were a different kind of strength? The bond, she said. Do you understand what it means? Zephyra tried to explain it. We're connected now. I can feel what she feels, and she can feel what I feel. More than that, Salandra said. In our culture, you are now family. You have the same responsibilities and rights as if you were her blood relative. Marcus looked surprised. I didn't know. I wouldn't ask for anything like that. It is not something you ask for. It is something you earn. Salandra stood, her decision made. Her security team was waiting for orders, weapons ready. They would follow any command she gave without question. Lieutenant, she said to her second-in-command, prepare medical facilities on the ship. Both the human and my daughter will need treatment. Yes, Commander, and the human. Do we take him as a prisoner? Salandra looked down at Marcus, who was still sitting on the floor next to her daughter. Through the bond, she could feel his confusion, his uncertainty about what would happen to him now. No, she said. He comes with us as family. Marcus's surprise echoed through the empathic link. Zephyra smiled and took his hand. I told you Mother always comes, she said to him. I just did not tell you that she would come for both of us. As her security team helped Marcus to his feet, Salandra watched the interaction between him and her daughter. The gentleness with which he moved despite his injuries, making sure not to cause her any distress. The way Zephyra stayed close to him, protective and caring. Her daughter had found something precious in this human, something that Salandra was only beginning to understand. Perhaps it was time for her people to learn something new about humans, something that could not be found in tactical reports or trade negotiations. Perhaps it was time to understand what it really meant to be human. Come, Salandra said, leading them toward the exit. We have much to discuss. Behind them, the cargo area fell silent, but the echoes of what had happened there would ripple across the galaxy in ways none of them could yet imagine. Marcus woke up in a room that looked like it was carved from a single piece of crystal. Soft blue light came from the walls themselves, and the air tasted clean and cool. Everything was beautiful, but also alien in a way that made him feel very far from home. He tried to sit up and was surprised to find that his wounds were almost completely healed. The burns from the energy weapons were gone, leaving only faint scars. The Veltar medical technology was far beyond anything humans had developed. You are awake, a voice said from the doorway. Marcus turned to see Commander Salandra enter the room. Up close, she was even more impressive than she had seemed on the station, tall and graceful, with crystal formations that caught and reflected light in patterns that seemed to shift as she moved. Her golden eyes were the same color as her daughter's, but colder, more calculating. How long have I been unconscious? Marcus asked. 3 days. The healers said your body needed time to adjust to our medical treatments. Salandra sat in a chair next to his bed, studying him carefully. How do you feel? Marcus moved his arms and legs experimentally. Good. Better than good, actually. Your doctors are amazing. They are not doctors. They are healers, like my daughter. The difference is that they use technology to enhance their natural abilities. Salandra paused. They were very interested in studying the bond between you and Zephyra. Is she okay? Marcus asked. Quickly. Through the empathic connection, he could feel that Zephyra was safe and content, but he wanted to hear it confirmed. She is well. She spends her days in the ship's garden or learning about human culture from our computer databases. Salandra tilted her head. She insists that she wants to understand your people better. And you. Do you want to understand humans better? Salandra was quiet for a long moment. I thought I understood humans already. Your species is emotional, unpredictable, violent. You make decisions based on feelings rather than logic. But now I am not so certain. Salandra stood and walked to the window that looked out at the stars. I have been reviewing the security recordings from Station Kepler 7. I have seen what you did, step by step. Marcus felt uncomfortable under her gaze. I didn't do anything special. anyone would have helped a lost kid. No, Silandra said firmly. Anyone would not have done what you did. I have run tactical simulations of the situation. In 97% of possible scenarios, the logical choice would have been to abandon Zephyra and escape on your own. Logic isn't everything. For my people, logic is everything. It is how we survived when our homeworld was dying. It is how we built an empire that spans a dozen star systems. Logic is what makes us strong. Marcus sat up straighter in the crystal bed. Then why are you here? Why did you come for Zephyra instead of writing her off as an acceptable loss? Silandra turned from the window, her golden eyes flashing. She is my daughter. Exactly, Marcus said. You didn't calculate the odds or run tactical simulations. You felt that she was in danger, and you came for her. That's not logic. That's love. Love is just another word for evolutionary programming. I am designed to protect my offspring. Maybe. But you're also designed to protect your whole species, right? And right now, you're using valuable ships and crew members to have a conversation with one injured human. That doesn't sound very logical to me. Silandra stared at him, and Marcus wondered if he had gone too far. But after a moment, something that might have been a smile crossed her crystal features. You argue like a Veltar philosopher, she said. But with human emotions. I'm just trying to understand you the same way you're trying to understand me. Over the next several days, Silandra visited Marcus regularly. Their conversations started with simple questions about human culture, but gradually became deeper discussions about the differences between their peoples. Marcus learned that the Veltar had once been more like humans, driven by emotion and individual desires. But a great catastrophe on their homeworld had forced them to change. Only by suppressing their emotions and working together with perfect logic had they been able to survive. We became stronger, Silandra explained during one visit, but we also became less. We lost something important when we chose logic over feeling. What did you lose? Joy, Silandra said simply. Wonder, the ability to see beauty for its own sake, rather than for its practical value. We gained the galaxy, but we lost our souls. Marcus thought about that. Maybe you didn't lose them. Maybe you just forgot where you put them. What do you mean? Zephyra. She's logical like you, but she's also curious and brave and kind. She hasn't lost her soul. Maybe your people don't have to choose between logic and emotion. Maybe you can have both. One afternoon, Zephyra joined them for one of these conversations. She had been spending time with the ship's cultural specialists, learning about human history and customs. I have been reading about human families, she announced as she entered Marcus's room. It is very different from Veltar families. How so? Silandra asked. Humans adopt children who are not related to them. They care for elderly people who are no longer useful. They keep pets, animals that serve no logical purpose except companionship. Zephyra looked between her mother and Marcus. I think I understand now why Marcus protected me. Because it was the right thing to do. Marcus suggested. No, Zephyra said seriously, because humans do not think about whether something is useful or logical. You think about whether something feels right. And protecting children feels right to you, even if they are not your own species. Silandra leaned forward in her chair. But how can a species survive if they make decisions based on feelings? How can they build anything lasting? Zephyra smiled, an expression she had learned from watching human entertainment programs. Maybe feeling is just another kind of logic, Mother. Maybe humans understand something about the universe that we have forgotten. That evening, Silandra came to Marcus's room alone. She carried with her a small device that projected a holographic star map. We will reach the border of Veltar space in 2 days, she said. I must decide what to do with you then. Marcus nodded. He had been wondering about that himself. I understand if you need to send me back to human space. The bond with Zephyra will work across any distance. That is one option, Silandra agreed. But there is another possibility. She activated the star map, showing the region where human and Veltar territories met. For 300 years, our peoples have coexisted but remained separate, she said. We trade, we negotiate treaties, we maintain peace. But we have never truly tried to understand each other. Understanding takes time, Marcus said, and trust. Yes, and I believe you have given me a reason to trust humans. Silandra looked at him directly. I want to propose something to my government. A new kind of diplomatic program, not just trade negotiations or military agreements, but actual cultural exchange. Marcus felt his heart rate increase. What kind of cultural exchange? Families, Silandra said. Send human families to live among our people, and Veltar families to live among yours. Let children grow up together, learn each other's languages, share each other's customs. That's a big idea. It is. Too big for most of my people to accept easily. Silandra deactivated the star map and sat down. But if they could see what I have seen, if they could understand what you did for Zephyra. You want me to be part of this program? I want you to help me create it. You would be the first human ambassador to Veltar space. You would live among us, teach us about humanity, and learn about our ways in return. Marcus thought about his old life on Station Kepler 7, moving cargo, working night shifts, trying to forget about the past. It had been safe, predictable, and lonely. Then he thought about Zephyra and the bond between them that would last for the rest of their lives. He thought about Silandra trying to bridge the gap between two very different species. He thought about the possibility of building something new and important. What about Zephyra? He asked. Would she be part of this too? She would be my representative in the program, a Veltar child who has learned to understand humans. Silandra smiled, an expression that transformed her entire face. I think she would like that very much. As if summoned by their conversation, Zephyra appeared in the doorway. Through their bond, Marcus could feel her excitement. Are you going to stay with us? She asked, running over to take his hand. I think so, Marcus said, looking at Silandra. If your mother is sure about this. I am sure, Silandra said. You risked your life to guard my child, Marcus Chen. You showed her that there are beings in the universe who will protect others simply because it is right. That is a lesson my people need to learn. Marcus squeezed Zephyra's hand gently. And your people have taught me things too, about loyalty and strength and finding family in unexpected places. Then it is decided, Silandra said. When we reach Veltar Prime, you will help me present this proposal to the Council of Minds. Together, we will build a bridge between our worlds. Marcus looked out the crystal window at the stars streaming past. Somewhere out there was Earth, the world of his birth. But here, on this alien ship, he had found something he had been looking for without knowing it. He had found a family. And perhaps more than that. Perhaps he had found a chance to help two species understand that logic and emotion, reason and compassion did not have to be enemies. Perhaps they could be partners in building a better future among the stars. Zephyra leaned against his side, her crystal formations glowing softly in the blue light of the room. Through their bond, Marcus could feel her contentment and joy. But he could also feel something else now. Silandra's emotions faint but growing stronger. Hope. What are you thinking about? Zephyra asked. The future, Marcus said. And how sometimes the best things come from the most unexpected places. Like finding family in a cargo bay. Exactly like that. Outside the window, the stars continued their ancient dance across the darkness of space. But inside the crystal room, three beings from two different worlds sat together, planning how to build bridges across the galaxy. It would not be easy. There would be resistance from both sides, fear of change, and the weight of centuries of separation to overcome. But they had something powerful working for them. They had proof that understanding was possible. They had seen what happened when one being chose to protect another, not for logic or gain, but simply because it was right. They had seen what it meant to be human. And that, Marcus thought, might just be enough to change everything.